Hi folks, John Dunn here, RPG freelancer and publisher behind Melior Via. I'm up here at Immortals Inc. with Mikey.
What is going on, John? We are here today on this beautiful day. I don't even know what we're talking about.
I thought we would get into some gonzo post-apocalyptic silliness today.
Gonzo? What does gonzo mean?
Like crazy, zany, over the top.
So we're back into
You're familiar with the Muppet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so say no more.
All right.
We're in the post-apocalyptic.
Post-apocalyptic. Yeah,
Okay,
think
cool.
Mad Max.
Oof.
All right.
I'm here for it.
But a little sillier. So this is the Umerican Survival Guide. It's published by Goodman Games. It's a 280-page black and white hardcover. Retails for $45, and it is through a Shield, I believe in collaboration with Shield of Faith Studios. So the lead developer on this was Reed Sanfilippo. He's got a nice intro at the start where he talks about how he really loved the Dungeon Crawl Classics system, and he published a zine using it to create this post-apocalyptic world. And this book compiles a lot of the stuff he did under that, and I believe the name of that was Under a Broken Moon or something like that. Did you ever hear of Thundar the Barbarian?
Thunder of the Barbarian? Surprisingly, no.
Probably a lot before your time. It was a cartoon from the late 70s, early 80s, and Thundar lived in this world where the moon had been shattered and world had been destroyed, and you'd see like ruins of, a 1970s Camaro in the background as he'd go riding past on a horse in his barbarian garb. That is very much the kind of thing that this draws on. Also kind of is reminiscent of Palladium's After the Bomb stuff from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if you're familiar with that at all. Again, stuff that came out in the 80s, but that was more RPG specific than Saturday morning cartoon. This is a book that very much parodies American culture throughout. So there's a whole section on the Citadel of Scrap as their main setting location, and one of the things that amused me was it talks about the Missouri River and the Kansan River. Well, the Kansan River is, the Kansas River, and the Missouri River is the Missouri River. So the Citadel of Scrap is a location that you get a fair bit of material about as someplace that you'd want to adventure. There's another bit that talks about how the Diz gods fight over the Furda wastelands. Basically, all the different Disney characters are fighting one another in Florida.
I heard Umerican, and I should have knew.
Yeah.
I should have knew.
Yeah. This came out in 2017 originally, so we've had it on the shelf up here at Immortals intermittently since then. It is compatible, like I said, with Dungeon Crawl Classics. It came out before Mutant Crawl Classics came out, but I think it would be pretty straightforward to convert between the two. And we did talk about Mutant Crawl Classics once before, I think.
We did. Big
Got another
Cyclops
podcast.
I remember the Cyclops.
There you go. Character creation for this is standard funnel like you'd see for DCC, but you have more options for your starting classes and races. So you've got mutants and aliens and robots as options.
Ooh, robots.
And then you've got your new classes once you get past 0 level. That includes robots, cyborgs, aliens, and similar stuff.
Is that a robot on the front?
I think that is definitely a robot in there. I think there's also an astronaut, but yeah, I think this guy with the big headlight here looking kind of Bender-ish.
Yeah, he looks confused.
Yeah. One of the things that I thought was pretty cool was they had a Wasteland Warrior option for a class and a Wasteland Wizard and a Technologist, and these guys get access to special abilities that tie into those kinds of backgrounds. There's new gear in here, which includes guns and grenades as new equipment. And there's just some fantastic crit tables for those, for all the things that can work really well and that can go horribly wrong when you're throwing a grenade that, might have been made centuries earlier. Yeah. There is some fantastic armor charts that include sports-based armor. So, like, if you want to wear your hockey gear or your football pads, those are statted up in here.
What about the basketball arm sleeve?
I don't recall seeing that, but it might be in there. And then there's driving rules, right? Because, normal Dungeon Crawl Classics, you're not going to be driving a motorcycle or a car, and this includes rules for that. And it also includes trains, planes, and mecha, because, hey, why not? New special effects rules, so you've got some new magic, a whole lot of new mutations, which are different from the ones in MCC. And new deities. And the deities in this are just some fantastic parodies of American culture. So one of the deities, the really important one. I think the first one that's mentioned in the New Deities section is called Cash, but his name is just a $sign.
His name is just a $sign.
Yeah. So it's referred to as Cash, but yeah, that's
pretty straightforward.
It really is, yeah. And it does ring true if we're talking about American culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a fantastic drawing and write-up for Elmos, the puppet host of pain, Kizz, the intergalactic god of rock and roll,
Kizz,
and of course Santa, the giving god.
So yeah, it's funny. Little quick backtrack. John showed me this like a week ago, and I was like, this is just a parody of all things.
It really is. Yeah.
I was laughing. It's funny too. They should have Patrick Swayze in there somewhere.
I didn't see him when I was looking through it, but that would be spot on. I think you could definitely do a cult of the Swayze.
Yeah, I don't even know what you'd parodize for him. So yeah, I don't know.
It probably has to start with Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recipes.
There is a GM section then that talks about setting secrets, what kind of things you might want to hold back for your players, and elements that you might want to reveal as things go on and the campaign develops. And then there's a section as well in there about advice on setting the tone and different hooks you can do to draw your players into different adventures, because obviously adventures in the post-apocalypse are going to be different than what you would find in most Dungeon Crawl Classics style adventures. Finally, there's a fairly lengthy appendix of just random charts for things that you might find and interactions you could have. Really a lot of stuff in there that you could absolutely use to just drive forward a whole lot of adventures. I thought this was a fantastic book that is just chock full of flavor and a ton of different options for your players, particularly ones who have never had a chance to adventure in this kind of a setting. A lot of tones similar to Gamma World, and like I mentioned earlier, Palladium's After the Bomb. Different cultures, like I mentioned, you've got these mutants and you've got these, crazy technologists, robots, aliens. They're all just there and interacting in whatever way you think works well. And then is plenty of setting material, particularly focused around that Citadel of Scrap, to really just set up things to give your players a sandbox to work out of if that's the style of campaign you're looking for.
Not to mention one of the greatest bands of all time, Kizz.
Yes, of course. You can't forget that at all. Stop in. We've got copies up here at the shelf at Immortals Inc., or take a look at immortalsinc.com. This could be a fun alternative approach for a campaign to last a while.
Couldn't have said it better myself, John.
All right. Till next time, good gaming, folks.
Later.